Hello and welcome to 3 Minute Gaming. I'm Nathan, and today I'm going to tell you if this game's their time and bandwidth. Today's game is QuByte's Thunderbolt Collection. QuByte is back, this time with 2 forgotten shmups. Did they have something good, or should these have been left forgotten? Let's find out. QuByte Classics Thunderbolt Collection by PIKO is just a really fantastic name. Really rolls off the tongue, and it's a compilation of 2 vertical shmups made by PIKO and re-released by QuByte. I guess that was all actually in the title, huh? So it wasn't in that title. Well, details about the game, so let's talk. Thunderbolt 1 is a Famicom game that reminded me a lot of Star Soldier, though a lot shorter. It only has 3 stages, and its core mechanic is that you want to get power-ups that match your color of weapon, because if you switch colors, you'll be downgraded to that color's level 1, which frankly sucks. I should also mention this game loves to spawn enemies in the middle of the screen with little to no warning, and has an ungodly amount of flicker. It's brutally, unfairly difficult, and paired with poor emulation, makes it almost impossible to beat even the first stage. Thunderbolt 2 is a lie, because it isn't technically a sequel, it's just another Thunderbolt, this time on the Genesis. Mechanically, it's similar with its power-up structure, but the game does run a lot better, though while yes, it's better than an old Famicom game, it is worse than any of its contemporaries, like say Thunder Force. Probably most famous for ripping off sprites from Namco's Genesis game Dangerous Seed, which honestly surprises me that they're able to re-release it here because of that, but I guess nobody cares 3 decades later, so fair enough. This one is a bit longer, has more bosses, has bombs, which I really appreciated, and an actual scoring system and life bar, so overall not nearly as frustrating to run through. Both games have an extremely simple overlay / wrapper, one that QuByte uses on all of their classic releases. This comes with multiple save slots, which I appreciate, but the UI for it is very slow and clunky, and aside from that, there are no extras whatsoever. And that's pretty much the Thunderbolt Collection. A Famicom shmup, a Genesis shmup, neither of which I'd ever heard of, and neither I'd used until this review, which nobody's not going to watch because nobody's ever heard of these games. Really providing the high quality content here, Nathan. So what did I like about the Thunderbolt Collection? Well, it was interesting to play through 2 games I had never heard of before in my life. I'm a big video game nerd loser, so finding something completely new was kind of exciting for me. Additionally, Thunderbolt 2 is playable, mostly. It's decent overall, and if you get a power-up chain fully loaded, it's pretty fun to blast your way through most everything. And lastly, I am glad these games are being preserved. Kind of. As in, they're kind of being preserved, and I'm kind of glad because they're terrible. Speaking of these games being terrible, when it comes to the bad, both these games suck. Thunderbolt 1 is a glitchy, flickering, unbalanced mess of unfun, and while Thunderbolt 2 is a little better, its blatantly stolen assets definitely soured me to the experience, though I'll admit the fact they got away with it's pretty funny. Additionally, the emulation here isn't that good, but what makes it worse is the noticeable input lag. I'm not somebody who usually can tell if there's input lag on older games, so when I'm saying I felt it, there's something wrong here. Lastly, the QuByte wrapper overlay is stunningly mediocre, something that's definitely going to come up in more of their classic reviews, I'm sure. It's laggy, has very little features, and just doesn't offer any additional stuff like art or history. It's honestly worse than just emulating it yourself. As you know, I rate games here on a 3-point scale, must play, maybe consider, and don't bother. And yeah, it's been a while since I've hit some absolute duds in terms of retro game releases, but QuByte seems to have my number. Both these games are pretty awful, the Famicom in particular being a wreck, and paired with laggy, delayed overlay and almost no bonus features, makes this collection a frustrating experience. If you want to play some good retro shmups, there are a billion in arcade archives, that Konami collection, they're all over the place. So yeah, I'd recommend pretty much any one of those over these 2. Hard pass. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played the QuByte's Thunderbolt Collection? Have you even heard of it? Of course you haven't. Why would anyone buy this? But if you did, you really should let me know in the comments, because I am deathly curious what you were thinking. But regardless, go out there and, don't buy this.